Well, hello everyone, and welcome to HoGaLe's Global Astrology. I'm joining on my phone because some weird stuff just happened. But here we are going to provide you with a show, of course. You will see next to me, if I point in the right direction, yes, I do.
Yeah.
We have Lena here, and you will notice, sadly, Lady G is not with us this evening. She's not very well. Some of you may have seen the video that she put out. So she thinks she's got a lick of the COVID. Certainly seems to be. She certainly, yeah. She wasn't sounding great and looking great, and she was shivering a lot as well. So she says she's trying to take a break in between driving. I wrote back to her on WhatsApp, of course, but also left a message on her YouTube, and I said, don't drive too much.
No.
Because, you know, don't want to pass out at the wheel or something like that. But
I know.
Be,
and my flatmate has COVID as we speak. So he's isolating in the man cave.
Wow. Wow. Bless.
It's everywhere at the moment.
Yeah, it seems. But also as well, these things, the important thing to remember, and this is true of all coronaviruses and flus, of which flu is similar, they are always seasonal. And it's just, you know, if we just think, is the flu season, it's everything. It could even be a flu. It could actually be a flu. We are technically in flu season, which tends to start, isn't it, from October? I think flu season starts in the Northern Hemisphere. So it could be that, but we'll have to see. So thoughts and prayers, of course, and energy to healing energy to Lady G. Many of you have also as well offered your love and your energy to Lady G as well, which I'm sure she really appreciates, and she'll be back with us next week. I hope. Now, before I begin, before we get stuck into the show, thank you for all your questions, everyone, folks. Oh my God, Lena, we've got some corkers tonight. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Now we're going to have to tackle a royal question. There are actually several. I picked one choice one. Now we know we approach this subject with caution, folks.
Disclaimer from HoGaLe about his mad guest. That'd be me.
Because we don't want to get burnt at the stake. You know, sometimes I approach these
well, we provide discourse for people to discuss.
This is true. And I do feel like sometimes, though, we'll see how it goes, but I feel when it comes to royal questions, I'm sure you will agree with me, it's a bit like gremlins. You know, when you feed Gonzo after midnight, yeah? And they will start popping out of everywhere, out of his back. And anyway, so there's that. So before we begin, please don't forget to like and subscribe if you'd like to support HoGaLe, of course. And if you would like to subscribe to Lena, her details are in the video description. Also, for a further update, you know, I've got this whole retreat thing going on. Oh my God, it's so exciting. I've posted under the survey, because we're still in the discovery phase, seeing where people want to go. I know Italy's doing very well. Puerto Rico and Costa Rica and Santa Fe. I'm like, oh my God. But I've also linked the credentials of Trova Trip as well. They are an ethical-based travel company. So they employ a combination of offsetting and environmental protections and local people protections as well, and ethics and stuff. So they, you know, they're the real deal. So for anyone who's not done the survey yet, go in the link description. Okay, Lena, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Right, let's let rip. All right, now, guys, you guys were fantastic. I had 3 pages of questions, 3. So obviously some will have to be recycled at some stage. So let's look at so just to give you guys an overall, there'll be Navalny, of course, we'll be talking about. We're going to be talking about Mark Meadows, huge topic. Who else we're going to talk about? Is the GOP turning against MTG? Of course, we need to talk about Hungary and Ukraine. So stay here, folks, and let's get stuck in. All right, Lena, question number 1. I just thought with the royal question, let's just get it there at the start and, you know, get the guillotining done. Forward. so to speak. Here we are. Get ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready. I hope our viewers are. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is coming from Kim Thompson. Anything could happen, folks. This is coming from Kim Thompson, and she's saying to Lady G mantras and sending mantras and prayers to her. Anyway, and she said, I would be grateful if you would read on the following. It is a question about the royal family. Drum roll. Prince William has recently announced that when he becomes king, he will implement a 5-point plan that includes a brutal plan, in quotation marks, to deal with Prince Harry and Meghan. Oh, H&M. Question. Will Prince William ever become king? And I think that is a yes, but anyway. What does this brutal plan have in store for H&M?
I'm not quite sure what's meant by an announcement.
Me neither, because, I mean, in fact, no, that's not quite true. The royal family do make pronouncements from time to time, but it's normally from the sovereign. So it's normally from Charles or the Queen or whoever. But maybe there's been some kind of, he's made some kind of proclamation or something like that, talking about how he would be as king, which isn't uncommon, actually.
Okay.
So, I mean, let's just take it with a pinch of salt. This is a cold read for both of us, folks. The cold read, yeah?
Yeah.
So let's just see, what could this potentially mean for Harry and Meghan? And if we go back in time, do you remember, Lena, when we were talking about the book? But we did reflect, we did say it could reach a point where Harry may feel differently about things in the future. But let's not go back over such controversial ground.
All right, let's have a look here. When William's king, I think we've got to assume a yes for that to just move on to the core question.
Yeah. It would be extraordinary if he doesn't become king.
Yeah.
Pretty good at transferring over, you know, the crown and the robes.
Oh. Okay, what's going on here?
Do you have anything interesting?
Yeah, I can start.
Go for it.
Very curious cards. I'm trying to suspend my vehement horror of the concept of the royal family, just looking at them as a family and people. I've done a spread on them in that way. Now, in the middle, 4 of Cups, an unwanted offer. I'm wondering about this. Is this William or is this Harry?
Oh.
Right, because on top, we have the King of Wands, who I suspect is the father here in this picture. And then the unwanted offer. Tears at bedtime with this 9 of Swords. I'm thinking here, when William becomes king, he's actually not looking forward to it that much, but that changes the whole who's next ball game. So is Harry ruled in or out, right? Because he's got to have, it's like his vice president, he's got to have the next in line. Will it be his own kids who are children, or will he need Harry in some way and have to extend a hand to him? Because I think things might move very quickly. So I think William's coming from a point of resentment because of the book. He doesn't come out of the book well, apparently, you know. So he's saying this or thinking this now, but I think the whole thing will change by the time it unfolds, you know.
Yeah, that's.
And he'll need Harry.
Yeah, maybe it could be the passage of time as you know, if there's one thing that the British royal family is kind of instinctively good at, it's running the clock. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like the
for sure.
metronome. It's like the metronome of the passing of the ages in the UK, and things tend to be cyclical. So we'll have to see. But
Yeah,
already
and his own kids could be old enough then, if there's still a monarchy, to step into the
exactly.
CEO position.
And already the chat is very lively as it is already, and you can see why I hesitate when it comes to such questions, because it
Yeah.
really can be like feeding Gonzo after midnight. But anyway,
Yeah.
what do I get? Honestly, the most peaceable people can suddenly vehemently become, it's quite extraordinary. But anyway, so what do I get? Look at this, straight up. I'm going to read it as well, just like Lena, like a family. What do I get? Six of Cups, straight out the gate. So obviously this is a family question. And what is the Six of Cups all about? It's all about the past. It's all about nostalgia and stuff like that. So I'm sure they're probably, irrespective of what people say, I am pretty certain there are a lot of people that wish this book was never written and it went back to a time when it just wasn't a thing. Yeah. Irrespective of people are pro or against. Come on, it really was an extremely controversial thing. We look here in the obstacle position, we've got the Ace of Wands, which of course now the Ace of Wands is normally what? A fresh new start, fresh new fertile beginnings. But in the 5-card spread, it can be considered in the opposition. So it's actually like this. And what this says to me is that William, at least at this stage, is disinclined to give Harry and Meghan a bold, fresh and new start, especially after the way that Harry I mean, he said some stuff, and he mocked William's baldness as well. And never insult a king to be's vanity. Yeah, even though it'd be covered by a crown, it's not the point. You don't talk about your brother's horrific baldness. But anyway, never mind. If we look here, they're planning. This in many ways can be William thinking about his future. Yeah, the Two of Wands. If you look at this card here, sorry for all the glare, everyone, but you can see this is a person looking at the globe. This is William looking at himself as a king and his wider reign and what kind of impact or not he may have on the world, because he's seen with his grandmother how she tried to stay out of global politics, although there was a subtle hint here and there. Charles tries to, and he wore his Greek, did you see he wore his Greek flag tie to the, as a fingers up, which I thought was pretty cool. So William is pondering his future and he's wondering if Harry's going to be part of it. Like Lena, I get the Ace of Pentacles as well, so this is like the moment, him becoming king, literally crowned with gold. And then the outcome is the Strength card. So it could be, what I would say is, by the time William is king, things may have moved on quite a lot. Will he still be as bitter? I'm not quite sure. It's still too hot in the trough for now.
Yes,
and remember too as well, Kate has been getting a lot of attack as well. So
has she?
We also need to understand that this is also William's wife and the future queen. So do you see, it is a bit, anything to add to that, Lena?
No.
All right, you're happy to move on. Like, no. Truth.
Next.
All right, next. All right, swiftly moving on. Where are we now? So we've gone from the UK and we're now in our esoteric aeroplane. I think the next one is USA. Oh, here we are. Now, this is an interesting question. So this is coming from Tara Garcia. And she says this. She says, much love to Lena and Lady G and Hoagie. She says, you may have answered this before, but I don't recall. I have extremely intelligent work peers who are pro-Trump and very anti-Biden, very anti the Biden administration. She says, what gives? Interesting. Now, I did reply to that, but I'll give my reply at the end. What's your opinion on that, Lena, before we pull, in terms of...
before we pull the cards on. This stuff follows a pattern, which is conservatives are seen as reasonable and sensible with money and pro-business, and then everyone prospers if business does well. And Democrats, or Labor in the case of Australia, UK, are seen as the ones who spend money unwisely. It's so entrenched. So even though Obama pulled America out of the fire in 2008, with all that gets forgotten. Even though Reagan ran up $1 trillion in debt, that gets forgotten. So what they're reacting to, these people, because as she says, they're not stupid people. So we're not talking MAGA files as such. They're opposed to Biden. And so the Dems have to take more responsibility for cleaning up their message, right? And getting it out there, because people are not getting it. So if gas goes up, it's because Biden's president. You know what I mean? People have this really simplistic view of what governments can and can't do. So it's really hard to argue with those people. But maybe I'd suggest tracking down some very good websites. People haven't got time for a lot. So maybe this conversation, not more than 15 minutes, 10 or 15 minutes, and just ask them to watch it and then offer to talk about it or something like that is a way through, you know.
Yeah. So
but yeah, I'm assuming they're not the type that think he's running a pedophile ring for Satan. They're sort of a bit up, not that crazy, but they don't trust or like the Democrat administration.
Yeah.
And it's actually irrational.
Yeah. Very interesting. All right.
Okay, so what's our actual question? What gives?
I think it's is what I will ask is why are so-called intelligent people seduced by the likes of Trump and fascism? How about that?
Okay, let's have a look. So let's say educated people who you think would know better. So yeah, we stress we're not talking about the rusted on MAGAs here. We're talking about smart people who get sucked into this. What is it? Oh, swords, swords, swords.
Wow. Very interesting. You ready to go, Lena?
Yeah, sure. I think these first two cards tell a story. Page of Swords, Knight of Swords, right? So this is about decisive action. And so people who are smart tend to be ambitious, and they tend to want things to improve, and they want to see action, right? And they're not seeing it, because we could argue for 6 hours why they're not seeing it, you know, in the sense that the media, anytime I put on even my alternative media, all I see is Trump. Okay, even if they're about to criticize him, even if they're making fun of him, even if he's there constantly. And these are the ultimate signs of what I was saying before. There's no cut through. They're craving action. So they want to be told and be confident where this administration is going, because they don't know, right? And so they're relying on friends and relatives in the form of the Lovers card here, and each other as peer group. Because if you're in any group, you tend to pursue that group. You consume the same type of news. You know what I mean? So they're only talking with each other. Oh, Biden's hopeless. Biden's too old. Biden's this, Biden's that. And then everyone else at the water cooler says that. You know what I mean? And so people don't find out for themselves. King of Wands here, I think this is the authority figure. The King of Wands traditionally also can be very compassionate, but in terms of this question, this is the bossiness. This isn't Biden, the King of Cups. This is, they want a strong leader. And unfortunately, being nice gets construed as weakness. Being reasonable is seen as weakness. All this stuff is misinterpreted as weakness, and they want the strong guy who's going to get it going.
Yeah. One of the things when I replied back in the comments to Tara Garcia, what I just wrote, what just came to me, I said, many are intelligent, but few are wise.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And it's and one thing I would like to tackle before I reveal my cards is there is an assumption that a person who's gone through the education system is somehow supremely intelligent. And it's really not the case. It varies. Dogma is dogma, groupthink is groupthink. Sometimes the most intelligent people can be some of the most simple people, as it were. This is why children have the ability to say profound truths, because they don't have any of the filtering or any of the conditioning, and they often call out absurdity. They really do.
Exactly.
So out of the mouth of babes, like they say.
Yeah, totally. And some of the smartest people I know have not had any education at all. That's why I don't like the idea of an IQ test or, measuring it in that way. To me, education is about opportunity. It's not about how smart you are or not. It's about opportunity.
Indeed. And also as well, the truest indicator of intelligence that transcends all races, creeds, backgrounds, money and stuff is curiosity.
Curiosity, driving you to learn more today.
Curiosity.
I want to learn more today than I knew yesterday.
Absolutely. So here, the card I get, interesting card to start off with. Look, I get the Hangman, but in reverse. So,
the not hanged man.
Right, indeed. And it's very interesting because I don't often get reversals with this deck, and I do turn them, I make sure the card's the right way up, but doesn't matter. So the Hanged Man, of course, well, it's actually, sorry, it turned up this way. When it's the right way round, as Lena and everyone learning astrology will know, this is the change of perspective, maybe even a potential spiritual insight, seeing things from a different way. I'm going to take the simple interpretation here, which is just stubbornness.
Yeah.
Stuck in one's ways. And you know what I think? What part of this is, and I've watched history thingy bobs, and they were talking about why Hitler did well and stuff like that. And what they said was, it was the petty bourgeoisie that actually ushered in the full sweep. And I think there's just a lot of people out there that they are seeing Trump from a point of self-interest. Some are just in it for the tax and the tax breaks. And I remember I could make a bonus and blah, blah, blah. And like Lena said, it's almost this simplistic thinking. So it doesn't matter if someone's gone to Harvard, to Yale, if they are dogmatic and they have a certain mindset and they're having that group think at the water cooler, doesn't matter where they've studied, because they're not examining the arguments. So there's that, they're stuck in their ways. What's interesting here is the next two cards I get are queens. So what does this tell? Well, actually, one's a queen, one's the empress. Now here we've got the Queen of Wands, which we know is the social queen, the one that brings everyone
the wife
together.
of this one.
Exactly. So here we are, we've got husband and wife turn up, and here's this intuition, but it's turned up in the obstacle position. So you know what this says to me is there are a lot of maybe women that see themselves as enterprising and intelligent and spirited that really do actually like Trump quite a lot. They're just not saying it. They're just not saying it. Let's not forget, when you are in the voting box, it is you and no one else. So, you know, and I'm like, especially
Mm.
when I look at the card that comes next door. Look at this. We have
Yeah.
the High Priestess. So when I put these two together, I'm like, there are some cunning tricks there. Maybe some ladies are actually like, oh no, I can't stand Trump. I'll never vote for him. And then in the box, they're like, yeah, because they're thinking, well, I want those lower taxes. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm not saying it's necessarily like a bad thing, but what I'm saying is that it is often that basic.
Yes.
People who have been through the education system have sophistication projected onto them, which they sometimes don't deserve. Sometimes it's like, who's going to give me the best tax cut? End of. Who's going to get
Yes.
rid of those foreigners? Yeah, it's just that. Yeah.
Yeah.
If we look here, though, one or two may be having second thoughts. Yeah. But mind you, it's kind of like when you look at the rest of it, it's like, okay, maybe one or two, but I think there are some of them. But what it says to me, though, the blindfolds are still essentially on. They want to keep going with the dogma because they believe voting for Trump is going to be what? Happy families again, that nostalgia. How many times when we talk about the GOP, do we get the 10 of Cups turn up? So they're in a kind of a fantasia. And I think they also believe that the worst of what Trump is going to do will not apply to them. And they're wrong.
Yes. And they're so wrong.
Yeah. Anything else to add to that, Lena?
Well, yes, on this theme, I just got a message from Argentina this morning. Melei has announced he will send the army out to crush any protests or any strikes. Here we go.
Here we go.
And it's just fully scary, right? So saying that's it, and they are making a very thorough list of all opposition groups. He's actually said it as well, meaning they will be arrested and so forth. So the moral of the story is, if you elect a clown, you get a dictator.
Yeah. Now,
it's sad.
It's so sad, isn't it, Lena? Because we made our proclamations and we rang our pearls. And I'll just take an opportunity. I won't say this person's name, but one person took a strong objection to me describing Melei. And I also said that he had Halloween Elvis hair. Yeah.
Yes.
And this person was like, what? Why do you think so little of us Argentines? As if I was insulting the Argentinian people.
Yeah. No.
Now I'm glad that I don't watch your show anymore. Boom, you know, whatever. And I wrote back and I said, well, first of all, you obviously read my blog and you were interested in it enough to actually read the whole thing and then comment. But also I said, look, think of this scenario where it has got so crazy that people have literally voted for a chainsaw wielding.
Yes.
Shut down the whole thing, nutbaggery. And we understand, my heart genuinely goes out to the Argentine people because it's such a desperate situation. But it was also so obvious as well that it would go this way. How could it not? How could a character like that who says, I want to legalize selling your bodily organs, and wants to get rid of women's rights and protection, wants to get rid of free education, how can that person possibly be trusted with the future of a country? And of course, that's exactly now what he's, it's just anyway.
He's
sorry,
only been in 4 days or something, you know, he's been in a week. And here we go.
Astonishing. Thanks for sharing that news, Lena, but it's so sad at the same time, isn't it?
Yes.
Tragic. Okay. So question number 3, we need to talk about Navalny. Navalny. And before I start, folks, if you guys want to see the video I did on him a couple of years ago, and basically everything I predicted in that video has come true. You just look through my video and it's like, Navalny, will he ever be released or something like that? Have a look. But anyway, so this, a few people asked. So Susan Adams and Cayuga Ducks, she asked about Navalny as well, but I've put them together. And this one is really simple. Will Navalny be rescued?
Okay. Okay, Navalny. I haven't read on him this. I've been avoiding it, so sometimes it's good to be made to look at this thing.
Yeah.
Navalny. Will he be rescued? Navalny. Oh, I'm getting goosebumps. Oh.
Yeah. Not good, is it? Oh, yeah, I'm getting the shivers as well. Ah.
Yeah. Okay. Shall I go, Hoagie?
Go for it.
Yeah. The first card out is this Ace of Pentacles again. Now, one of the Hand of God cards. My feel of what it means here is he's being made an offer to say, if you agree not to run for political office, if you agree not to speak, not to write a book, not to speak to anyone, we'll think about releasing you, or something like that. But it's an impossible offer. I think in the Dark Night of the Soul, his family here are saying to him more or less, do it, just do it. You've done your bit for Russia.
Wow.
Just do it. But he's hanging in, and he's determined, if he's still alive at all, I'm talking in the abstract here. I think he's sort of been through so much, and there would have been times when he'd have given up, but no matter how bad it is, he's still got that essential fight in his nature. He's extremely courageous, but it does end with the Three of Swords. So I'm not optimistic, I have to say.
Yeah. Wow. I'm just going to click on a comment from Joyce Clark. And she says, intuition is more powerful than knowledge. Albert Einstein. How interesting. Yeah.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah. The ego is very good. One of the things I've learned is that humanity's capacity for self-delusion. That's
yes.
Just astonishing.
Please don't ever do that, because you won't be right.
So I pulled 5 cards again, very interesting here, and they sort of echo your cards a little bit as well. But when we look at the first card, blindingly obvious, isn't it? Look at that. It's that, the 8 of Swords. He is literally what? Imprisoned, incarcerated. He's stuck. But one thing we also have to as well acknowledge about the 8 of Swords is that this can also be a predicament that one got oneself into. Now, look, this isn't a critique of Navalny per se, but at the time, I was saying he should never return to Russia because, you know, I've got my nicknames for Putin. One of them is the Black Widow. And I said, you can never go back to the Black Widow. Once he's got you, that's the Novichok was enough. Remember, they poisoned his underpants. He didn't have to go back. He was so effective using the trickster and the fool to just completely discombobulate. And he was safe, but he did choose to go back. And unfortunately, it is led to this, predictably. Now, as you know, whenever I read for Putin, a queen always turns up. Yeah.
Just saying.
Just saying, for entertainment purposes only. And what do we see here? We see the Queen of Pentacles. Now, it's really interesting because literally whenever I pull for Putin, and what does it mean? It doesn't mean he's effeminate. It means his style in many ways is more covert. This is Putin wanting to keep his status stable and safe at home. The Queen of Pentacles is a rather domestic card, but when you broaden it out, this is literally Putinshka trying to keep everything stable, because Navalny is a charismatic figure, and Putin can't even kill him outright because then he'll become a martyr. What Putin wants us to do is to forget. He wants us to forget Navalny. Yeah. What will he do? He'll keep coming out with his false messages. Yeah. Putin needs to maintain the narrative. We know they've got the elections coming up and we know already who the winner is. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
But he still has to sell a message to what? His domestic audience. Yeah. He's thinking about the domestic audience. The next card, though, what we get here, we do get the Fool here. So I'm not going to say that Navalny was foolish, but part of the shadow of the Fool can often be the shadow of the hero as well. And that can be the naive hero, that leaps into the thing thinking that bravery and chutzpah and support from people is enough. But sometimes the wind is not there. Sometimes the Fool does plunge to, you know what? Yeah. So there's been where he may have miscalculated. Here, to end it off, another queen turns up. So I think this might actually be another side of Putin. And I think this echoes what Lena said. Putin or his acolytes or whatever may have said, Navalny, if you keep your secrets, because the Queen of Cups does deal with secrets, maybe we'll let you slip off into the sunset. However, would he do that? I'm not sure. I think Navalny would rather be a martyr than a puppet of Putin. That's my instinct.
Yes, yes. And speaking of that last queen, as Patricia points out, there's a young woman standing against Putin, bless her, Yekaterina Duntseva. She's a little-known journalist and a mother of 3 from a small town in Western Russia. Wow. Is there anyone braver than her? Because, you know, if you're growing up Russian, you know the risks, you know.
Yeah.
So bless her.
Yeah.
But yes, all things being equal, he will just win for obvious reasons.
Indeed, indeed. So we've got a Ukraine question, and then we've got a GOP question, and some other US questions after that. But this is one as well, Lena, as well, that you wanted to make sure that was on the show. And a few of you have asked. So just to give the question, and then maybe Lena, you can give us a little bit more context of this, what's going on. Particularly, I've been very busy as well, and I've been flying blind almost. So this is coming from Nicola McClafferty. You know who you are. Thank you so much for your questions. So, she's saying, I'm hoping you mean December, not September, Hoagie. I actually wrote September for this meeting to happen. Anyway, little snafu there. Anyway, she said, Hungary prevented Ukraine receiving an aid package last week. Can the cards show whether this hurdle can be passed, or is it again part of the coordinated prevention of aid designed to help Russia? Great question, eh?
Yeah. Okay, let's have a look. Hungary.
Because we have another strong man, don't we, in a certain Viktor Orban.
Yes, Orban. And he's done his best to try and keep Ukraine from making any ground with its EU application. But let's have a look at it now. Hungary and the EU. And the EU. Oh, nefarious cards.
Are you using the circus deck, or what are you using this evening?
No, I'm using fate shifters. I love the name. Well.
Oh, gosh. Oh, my God, my cards, yeah.
Yeah, I know. All right, let's just launch in here. Yeah. It kicks off with 10 of Swords. I think this is symbolically Ukraine that had so much momentum and world sympathy and support and stuff 2 years ago, it's like it's been one thing after the other, you know, the actual attrition from the war and everything else, you know, 10 of Swords there. Then we have the false knight, which I think is Orban. I don't think there's anything mysterious about his behavior, except I think it's more serious than at first. This is quite a light card in a way, you know, with the cups, whereas I think he, let's say entertainment purposes only, I think he does have a very close contact with Putin. But as things are unfolding, decisions will have to be made quickly. And I think the EU will find a way to work around Orban. I think they will free up whatever it is they're giving them, so expertise even and stuff, how to use this equipment. I think that's going to happen regardless, but it's more likely to happen secretly. And there's also, now I get the Queen of Cups with the lid on her cup. So this secrecy is, I think, backdoor deals, right? Wow. You know, 2 cards of secrecy. But I think Ukraine will get, because Europe remembers the war, right? They're much more invested than we are in Australia or America is or something, you know, they know how important it is. So that's my take.
Fascinating, really interesting. And I just want to give a quick shout out. Thank you, Foggy, sorry. Thank you so much for your donation, and wishes well to Lady G as well. Oh, interesting cards I've got here, Lena.
What have you got?
I'm just gonna dive in here. So the question is about, you know, Orban and, you know, like you were saying, him potentially blocking things. So look at the card I get. I get the 3 of Pentacles, which we know is what? The card of teamwork, working together on a joint plan to execute some bigger structure or something useful. So this card, in a way, cuts 2 ways. This will represent Zelensky trying to work with Europe in order to integrate Ukraine as part of a bigger plan and support network. But this also represents Viktor Orban and the like, who are doing their machinations and negotiations behind the scenes.
Exactly.
Orban is just talking about maybe 1% of what has probably already been agreed. They're trying to create this, you know, this infrastructure, this architecture of this kind of neo-fascist far-right type doodahs. So that's Orban there. Who is it that they're trying to please? And this is turning up in the obstacle position. Oh, actually, a male card actually turns up for Putin this time, but this is probably him. So, but also as well, this can also speak too of Viktor Orban and his sense of authoritarianism, how, you know, he takes this strongman approach as well. And Lena, you also got the King of Wands, didn't you, when we were talking about those that are into, you know, Dr.Lena. There are sadly people that just like this strong man image. It removes responsibility for choice, which has always been one of the big conundrums that all human beings have suffered from. We look here, it's 2 of Pentacles. It's a balancing act. Really is. This is a juggling act. This also says it's a bit 50-50. One of the things that I worry about, and this is the thing with Putin, and remember, Russians are good at chess. Let's not forget.
Oh, yes.
A big part of the culture. And what is, Putinshka knows if he can just keep things unstable, keep the wobbly wagon going, then people may fatigue. And they start to backtrack, like how you got, Lena, with the 10 of Swords. You know, people maybe not kind of committing, you know. Winter starts to get cold, things start to get expensive. We look here, we have the 8 of Pentacles. So either way, I mean, this could be Zelensky working extremely hard to be like, don't forget us, don't give in, don't yield, don't yield. But this is also as well, this is the Orbans and obviously those that are more onto the right leaning. I think they're seeing, for them, it's almost like our hard work is paying off. Yeah, because we've got in Holland now, there's stuff. But if we look the outcome card, I think it says it all, doesn't it? The devil.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what this says to me, this is almost like when I put them all together, it's almost like an unholy alliance.
Yes, exactly.
Really, isn't it? Here they are coordinating over here, making their machinations and plans, working very hard to execute, you know, the devil, which I think is self-explanatory, isn't it? Wow.
Totally.
Yeah, they're going to try and stop. Anything to add to that, Lena?
No, happy to move on.
All right, no problem. So let's just put that there. So yes, they are working to try and prevent Ukraine becoming an EU member. All right, let's get to question number 5. Where have I put it? 7. 1 minute. So, we need to talk about Mark Meadows.
Oh, yes.
So many of you asked about this question in the chat. So this has come in. I've taken the one quote, but I've added the names of people who are asking the same subject. So Willowing Nighthawk asked this question, and then Hawaii Bound, Angela Alchemy, Susan Lilly, and BB Smith. And I think we should also get a Shakespeare on Mark Meadows as well. It's been a while.
Yes.
So Willow Nighthawk asked, Mark Meadows was seen leaving the White House with the 10-inch thick classified Russian asset file. Why and what did he do with it? Did Putin get a copy? A reporter made a copy before Meadows had the Secret Service retrieve it as a bag of loose papers. So I think what they're asking is that basically what's happened to the document. Some people were saying maybe Trump has got it, and what was it about? What was on that list? Remember, a lot of people fell out of windows. So
yes. So what was in the file? And I guess Meadows' role in it,
Yeah.
Mark Meadows.
Meadows' role in those files.
What's in the Russian files? Should we be worried?
Trump basically gave names, probably addresses of secret agents and stuff like that.
Oh, yep. He's a blurter,
Yeah.
Okay, what have we got? Well, got the Hermit again.
What's sad about Melei? I'm still thinking about that.
It's really sad. And they've even threatened parents to lose their children if you take your child to a demonstration. It's horrifying. It's horrifying.
Wasn't that the junta or something that did? Who was the one that stole the people away?
It's them. And he's made this woman, Lucia Bullrich, her father was one of the 1,200 generals who was convicted for torturing and murdering people. And his daughter is now his minister for security.
Well, that says it all.
It's horrifying.
Beyond, isn't it? It's just beyond.
I'm really traumatized. Okay, so Mark Meadows. I'm a bit puzzled. My first card was the 3 of Cups, people celebrating and so on. And I thought, what? And I pulled the other cards and then I circled back to it. I think they were, even though they were getting worried by that stage, with the election about things, there's still this confidence in each other that everything will be all right, So it's like they didn't realize the seriousness of what they were doing. I think Trump certainly didn't. He just asked people to do things, but Meadows, you'd have to say, is 180% stupid to have done it, right? And what I'm saying with this is he was still a bit in the delirium.
Yeah.
You know?
Giddy.
Yeah. This is not good for Meadows. Okay, they're both in this together. Trump's going to go forward and say it wasn't me, with this paper, leaving Meadows in it. This affects the world, right? You know, the old saying, America sneezes, the world gets a cold. This impacted immediately on other countries and their security protocols and stuff. So apart from individuals who may have been compromised, it affects the Five Eyes, and all the countries that work with and against the US were all impacted by this man's behavior. The effect of that, interesting where the cards have gone, actually. People couldn't trust America from that point. You couldn't when he was president. And even though he was technically voted out then, there was still all the aftermath and all that craziness, which meant they still couldn't immediately trust Biden or anyone else, because you had this man saying, I won the election, right? So this impacted, I'll stress this, the world. And so in terms, and I'm sure when books are written and films are made 20 years from now, the intelligence agencies will admit this, you know. They've been out in the cold and they've had to surreptitiously and sneakily try and work out what was on this list, what was in this dossier. You know, they're trying really hard to find out. And I think with the light here, they probably will. But they didn't, at the time the story blew up, they didn't actually know.
Wow. Interesting. Something fascinating has happened with my cards. I've pulled 5 cards.
Yeah.
And all of them have a male figure on them. All.
It's
very,
unusual.
very interesting. And that, to me, in many ways, says a lot. And I think this is talking about,
wow,
almost like this. When I look at it, it looks like a whole cabal of male leaders that have, you know, have wanted this document, this dossier, and what have you. I've got the Page of Knights, then I've got 2 kings, the Emperor and the Hierophant. I'm just like, wow. So straight away,
this affected so many places.
So many places. So here we have the Page of Swords, which can, in the positive, can be the intelligent, sharp-witted young buck or bucket who wants to kind of go out there and slice up the world and, you know, change things with their intellectual power. But this can also be the spy in the camp card as well. This can be, you know, so here, this is almost like a leak. Yeah, this is a dossier, which we've learned about.
Yeah.
The King of Pentacles, we have to assume, is Dr.Lena. Yeah. This is Trump, as we know. You know, he turns up as a few cards. The Star, you know, the King of Pentacles. You know, he's or the Devil. You know, is one of his favorite incarnations. But definitely, you know, this is. If we look here, Meadows was working with it. So this is Meadows, obviously, you know, the lightweight. That's just, you know, they, of course, same. Who's, you know, doing the equivalent of making coffee and not really doing that much, although he was key messaging, the messenger for Trump. Do you remember when all the thingy bob was kicking off, and even Ivanka was like saying to Meadows, like, talk to him.
Yeah.
Anyway, so who else? So we're talking about information. Who else did the information go to? It went to other sources abroad as well. So if we look here, this is, on one level, this can be the court's investigation, looking into this matter of courts. But it also deals with astute leaders and stuff like that as well. These documents, I think, went all around the world to all significant and impactful people, because that page is the only one. The rest are kings or an emperor. If we look here, we can figure out who the emperor is most likely be, because we all know a certain Putinshka would like to be emperor of the whole world again. So look, these were shared with, of course, Putin. Who then would, of course, taken a lot of action, because let's not forget, even though this is the right way up, the King of Swords can be very vicious when he's that way round. And if he's next to the emperor, that can also talk about vicious patriarchy as well. So we know that.
Yes, totally.
But then also as well, we see how it's affected governments around the whole world. Because just like Lena said, the whole world was like, bloody hell, can't tell them anything, you know.
I know.
You know, people falling out of windows, secret agents sadly being murdered, their families, everything. Because when these secrets are divulged, sadly, people die.
It has real world implications.
It does. And it's literally impacted the world. There were many, I think, you know, there might be a bit of Saudi in here as well, but any significant leader, I think basically Trump has blabbed, and Meadows was the one who was just, I'm just the messenger, and it's probably like, oops. Later on.
But no excuse.
Anything to add to that, Lena?
No, have we got time for another one?
Let's do a Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Oh, sure, that's fun.
Let's end on someone who's truly clownish. Let's
let me get the circus cards. Yes.
Oh yeah, definitely get the circus cards out. So this is coming from Hawaii Bound, and it's a very interesting question, which says, are the Republicans turning against MTG? Jim Jordan seems to not want to hear her shenanigans or conspiracy theories. I wouldn't know, cold read for me. And during a recent news announcement, Jim did not want to accommodate her yelling anything out to the news reporters regarding Biden. So what's going on in this scenario? So the question is, are the GOP finally getting tired of MTG, who really should have been kicked to the cray-cray curb the second she started talking about the school shootings being a hoax and space lasers, you know? Like,
it's shocking that she was allowed to
abort, abandon ship.
So
let's see, are they tired of her? And we've got 1,500 of you with us.
Hi, guys.
Wow. Thank you guys so much. We really appreciate the support.
And Maester Tarot, who used to be a student of mine, Trump not only blabbed, he sold. Yes, absolutely. That was implicit. They would have been touted to the highest bidder.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely. They would have had the money as well. That King of Pentacles there. And let's not forget a certain Kushner as well. Certain Kushner has been had his pockets well filled.
MTG, are they sick of her?
Tired of MTG. I mean, maybe they're finally realizing, oh, we can't win with this absolute. I think she's not well, to be honest. Genuinely, I think.
No, you're very kind.
What do you?
Oh, well, these cards are crystal clear.
What do you have?
Okay. Well, sixes are important because they represent a transition from tarot works from 2 to 10 and the struggle of the fives. We've got a 5 here, but sixes, they're thinking about doing something about it. You know, sixes are trying to patch up what's happening. So look at this. I think they'd like to wheel her out in a wheelbarrow. Okay, because, you know, with this 6 of Wands, there's an ego with her. This is often the victory card. Like, she was all right in the early days, but now she's become a bit too direct. She's an absolute nightmare. And how's this? They know they're going to lose with her,
Mhm.
and that's the Five of Cups, and she's become a burden to the whole party because her name is famous. And what is she famous for? Being completely out to lunch, bat crazy, right? So that's not good for the whole party. It's not just her state and Congress. She's branded into the party brain. And I think they're beginning to realize it's a losing formula. So for me, the answer to the question is yes. Different question if they'll really do it, because they've only got a margin of 2 at the moment.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think the nutbaggery is just, oh my God, it's just extraordinary. So
Nutbaggery,
here,
that's a great word.
yeah, yeah, it's absolutely crazy. So if we look here, look at this, folks, the Five of Cups. My goodness, is
Yes,
it
I got it
starting to
too.
dawn on some of
Five
the,
of
of course, yeah, the same. Is it starting to finally dawn on some of these lead-headed people that may be having this absolute all she does is she reminds everyone just how crazy a cult the GOP are.
That's
You know what
right.
I mean?
They can't hide their own collective crazy once she's out there because she's speaking.
Absolutely. And in the UK, we refer to this as swivel-eyed loons. Yeah, that's what we
Love
say.
that.
And that's just someone who's just beyond help. Yeah, just beyond help. She's a
Yeah.
swivel-eyed loon. More bad news. Look at this. Five of Pentacles, sorry.
Yeah.
So fives again. It's finally dawning on them. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, maybe MTG is not going to win us that many votes. She could actually lose us votes.
Yeah.
I think I always say when she did the thing with Hunter Biden, irrespective of what anyone thinks of what's going on with Hunter Biden or not or whatever, the fact that she held up those pictures of him in his nudity
Yes.
in Congress, it was so utterly vulgar and kind of depraved. And I think even for the GOP, as rabid as they are, I think that turned a few stomachs. And I think people realized she is not well because she didn't have to do that. You don't, and it was blown up. You know, I mean, like, come on, like really, just terrible, terrible. Anyway, so here we are. We see her obsession with Biden. Here she is, absolutely obsessed with Biden, trying to bring him down and impeach and all of this kind of stuff, trying to bring him to whack, rack, and ruin. But we see here the GOP really probably need to rethink their partnership with Marjorie Taylor Greene.
Yes.
You know, she was a money maker and getting all the stuff in, but it's almost like if this were a circus card, she's also a one-trick pony as well.
Yeah.
You can't just do cray-cray every day, day in, day out. You have to say something sensible from time to time. But she's not capable of that, of course. So I think quietly behind the scenes, they're like, okay, we have a razor-thin majority, but some of them might want to do a George Santos on MTG. But the plans, I would say, are secret. They are whispered. They can't afford to lose any more. But I think if she vanished into the hills, I don't think too many people would be crying that she's gone.
She won't get another term. Her own voters, I think, they might vote in another Republican instead of her. But I can't believe if I was in her constituency that you'd want her representing you, you know.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. And thank you, Tati Gem, for your donation. Lena, can you believe it? The time is gone.
No, but we also have to make a moment for the bard.
Okay.
Yes.
How can I forget?
We can't have a normal work week without the bard.
You're right. You're right. All right. So what do we want? Bard on MTG or Mark Meadows?
Mark Meadows, I think.
Mark Meadows. Because we already know what a nutbag she is. All right, let's see what.
Oh, I'm wrong. Someone says they love MTG at home. Oh, silly me, thinking they wanted someone to represent them in Congress to do something for them. Oh, no, they love her. Okay, I take that back.
Oh, there we go.
Silly assumption.
Right, so, Mark Meadows, you tell me where to stop and we'll get the bard's opinion to close the show.
Mark and stop.
Oh. This is really, really interesting. All right, this is coming from King Lear. Very interesting. This is what the Bard has to say about Mark Meadows. We make guilty of our disasters the sun, the moon, and the stars, as if we were villains by necessity, fools by heavenly compulsion.
Now that's an astrologer's dream.
I mean, yeah. I mean, that is what the okay, and that's from King Lear. I'll read it one more time because that's actually a very sophisticated response on the Bard on this one. He's not just cussed them out like he normally would do with these douchebags. So we make guilty of our disasters, the sun, the moon, and the stars. So we blame the heavens for our disasters, he's saying, as if we were villains by necessity, fools by heavenly compulsion. So he's saying Mark Meadows can't blame the stars or his circumstances for the situation that he's in, because he was the dumb one that went along with everything. But isn't that interesting?
That is a trip. I love that.
Yeah. Wow. And then on the next page it says, Avant, you cullions. I'm not even sure what that means. Henry V. But I think the King Lear one, interesting, isn't it?
Yeah, and that's what they all do, is blame everyone else and the heavens for the situation they're in.
Those situations. But there we are. So, folks, can you believe it? The time has
100
gone.
of you. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you. Yes, many of you here. And a last quick shout out as well to Lady G. I hope that you're watching or that you're resting well, and hopefully we'll have you back next week. But of course, if you're still not feeling well, then we understand. You know, it can be quite a nasty one, this new round of COVID going round. So thank you to everyone for joining us. Please don't forget to like and subscribe and share to support HoGaLe. And of course, if you'd like to subscribe to Lena, she's in the description. And if you'd like to take the survey as well, that's all in there, all talking about Trova trip, how it works and stuff like that. But so far, Rome and Florence is in front, and I'll announce soon, once we've reached a certain number, I will announce.
I'm intrigued. Where is the destination?
Where is the destination? So thank you, Lena, for joining us here on your Sunday.
My pleasure.
And we will see you next week.
See you guys.
Bye for now, folks. Bye-bye.